At 2 a.m., September 2nd, 1666, London was a tinderbox, unaware of the inferno about to begin. This wasn't some grand conspiracy or invading army. No, the fuse was lit in a humble bakery on Pudding Lane, owned by Thomas Fariner, baker to King Charles Roman II himself. A single, forgotten ember was all it took. London in 1666 was a city of wood and pitch. Narrow, winding streets, houses built cheek by jowl, often overhanging the street below. A city that had seen the Black Death just the year before, leaving its population shaken, vulnerable. Fariner's bakery, like many others, had a brick oven heated to bake the day's bread. But the surrounding structures, predominantly timber, dried by a long, hot summer. A perfect storm was brewing, literally, in the heart of the city. The fire spread quickly. From Fariner's house, it leapt to his neighbors, then across Pudding Lane. The initial attempts to douse it were futile, hampered by antiquated equipment and a citizenry ill-prepared for such a relentless foe. Perhaps the greatest tactical error was the initial reluctance to employ fire breaks, the systematic demolition of houses to create gaps the fire couldn't cross. The Lord Mayor, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, famously dismissed the fire as something a woman might piss out. This hesitation proved catastrophic. By Sunday morning, the fire was a roaring beast, devouring everything in its path. The wind, which had been gentle, now gusted furiously, fanning the flames and carrying embers far and wide. Eyewitness accounts from figures like Samuel Pepys paint a vivid, terrifying picture. He described a horrible, malicious, bloody flame, and how he could read a book by its light at midnight, miles away from the blaze. The sheer scale was unimaginable. The heat was so intense it melted lead on church roofs, sending rivers of molten metal flowing into the streets. The crackling of timber, the roar of the fire, the screams of the trapped, a symphony of destruction. For 4 days, London burned. From Pudding Lane, westwards through the heart of the city, consuming St. Paul's Cathedral, the Royal Exchange, and countless churches, guilds, and homes. A quarter of the city gone. Yet amidst this devastation, a strange irony emerged. The plague, which had decimated London just a year prior, found its breeding grounds the squalid, rat-infested tenements utterly purged by the flames. A horrific cure, perhaps. The human toll, remarkably, was relatively low, officially recorded as just 6 deaths. Though historians now suggest the true figure was likely in the hundreds, particularly amongst the poor, whose deaths went undocumented. The fire ultimately stopped, not by human effort alone, but by a change in wind direction and the creation of effective fire breaks, finally ordered by King Charles Roman II. The Tower of London, a formidable barrier, also helped contain its eastern spread. But what rose from the ashes was a new London. Sir Christopher Wren, among others, presented ambitious plans for a modern, ordered city of wide avenues and grand public spaces. Though many of these grand visions were never fully realized, the spirit of rebirth was palpable. Building regulations were radically overhauled. Wood and thatch were largely forbidden for new constructions in the city center. Brick and stone became mandatory. This shift fundamentally altered London's urban landscape and its future resilience. St. Paul's Cathedral, a casualty of the fire, was rebuilt, grander and more magnificent than before, becoming an enduring symbol of London's rebirth. Wren's Dome, a marvel of engineering, still dominates the city's skyline today. The monument to the Great Fire, designed by Wren and Robert Hooke, stands near Pudding Lane, a towering Doric column commemorating the event. Its height, 202 feet, is said to represent the distance from its base to Fariner's bakery. The fire also sparked an unexpected scientific and architectural boom. The need for precise measurements and rapid reconstruction led to innovations in surveying and building techniques that influenced urban development for centuries. The lessons learned from the Great Fire of London reverberated across the globe. Cities, from Boston to Chicago, would later implement similar fire codes and urban planning principles, directly influenced by London's experience. From a forgotten ember in a baker's oven, London was purged, rebuilt, and ultimately modernized. A cataclysmic event, yes, but one that paved the way for a more resilient, healthier, and better planned city. So the next time you walk through the orderly streets of London, or indeed any modern city with its fire codes and urban planning, spare a thought for Thomas Fariner, his bakery, and that one fateful spark. Next time, we'll unearth the forgotten battle that shaped